Well, Arsenal setting the pace at the top of the league, but Manchester City are not far behind them, particularly because they have 2 games to play against Arsenal between now and the end of the season. And Erling Haaland, well, reports of his demise may have been a little exaggerated. a hat-trick for him. He's now got 25 goals so far this season. And last season, the winners of the Golden Boot, Mo Salah and Son, got 23 goals. So he's already, in January, having had a month's break for the World Cup, past last season's Golden Boot tally. It's 4 hat-tricks for him so far this season. Only Alan Shearer has managed more across an entire season, and he got 5. So we're kind of assuming Haaland's got that in his sights as well. I mean, I don't know what the next question is about Erling Haaland, because this is just unprecedented what he's doing.
He's a proper goal machine, and listening to the manager saying they have to find a way to use him more, utilise him more. And they do, because...
Utilise him more?
Even more, because like, I watched the game last week, and there's, even in this game, he makes me, now I'm not saying as a striker you're supposed to get all the passes with every move you make, but when you've got a player of this calibre, and who is a goal machine, he's literally a goal machine, you have to find a way to utilise him as much as you can, because he's going to score. His touches and his touches to goals is unbelievable. What we're seeing, what he's doing at the moment, is Ronaldo, Messi kind of numbers in goals to games. He's just... When I watch the City, some of the times where they can just slip him in and he's in, but they're still not seeing it yet. And this is where we're talking about going into this phase of the season. If they start seeing it, then there's not many teams going to be able to stop them. You can't stop them.
And he could have had more because he took him off.
Yeah.
And he could have stayed on and scored even more in that game. When Pep Guardiola talks about getting more out of Haaland, I think it was the Spurs game, first half of the Spurs game, he was quite deep in that game. Is he saying to the players, I don't want Haaland to have to come deep, I'm not going to use him there? What does he mean by adapting more to using a player that's already achieving so much?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he really wants to come deep. You know, I think he'd rather be on the shoulder. I think against United, I think Pep said after the game, he said he wanted Haaland to come deep so that obviously the centre-backs would go with and then they could get runners. But actually didn't really work, because I don't think he looks comfortable.
That's not his thing, yeah.
On the half-turn. That's not his game. I think on the shoulder, he's probably up there with one of the best. But I'm just amazed how efficient he is. You know, I think in terms of goals, obviously got 10 more than Harry Kane, pretty much the same amount of shots. And Harry is a lethal finisher. He's so active, he's so efficient. And you can almost guarantee he's going to break 40 goals. I just think when he's up there, don't come short, right? Just hit him. Just put it in the mixer for him, and he'll go figure it out.
It's like some of the times it's just like even the goal what he did score. Kevin De Bruyne finally put one in. I think Rico Lewis tried a couple of times and missed it. That ball's got to be spot on. You know, especially when the game's tight like it was for a bit with Wolves. You know, that ball, put that ball in, bam, he scores. Everybody settles down. The game opens up. Just for me, I'm going. For the first 10, 15 minutes, I'm saying, find him. Because, like you say, he's so efficient, so clinical. The game could be over in 15, 20 minutes. They've got to play more direct to get him in there.
Yeah, it is that when he talks about getting used to him, it's not that it's not working out for Erling Haaland, but it is a different way, a different approach for Manchester City.
Not only that, but Pep improves players. I remember when he arrived, and we all know what Sergio Aguero did in Manchester City shirt, and he said, no, he's not doing enough. He needs to be even better than that. And, you know, everyone's like, what's he talking about? You know, we're pretty much asking the same questions we're asking here now, because it doesn't make sense, as you rightly say, that he would look at a guy with that phenomenal ratio of goals. I mean, 4 hat-tricks in 19 games in that graphic. The next was Ruud van Nistelrooy in 65 games.
Yeah.
It's just incredible numbers.
It's that efficiency, isn't it? It's just, he's breaking every record.
It comes with as good as Man City are and what he's got around him as well. We know that Ruud for me was like a monster as well. He's like I say, you put Ruud in that team, he's probably doing the same thing in that team. And that's why I'm thinking, if you're going to put him in that team, then get everything you can out of him, because all of them should be firing.
But the one criticism people do make of him is that if he doesn't get the ball, he doesn't really do anything else. I think that's unfair when you've got such a generational talent like that. I mean, he will score.
It's a ridiculous
Is he meant
thing
to do
say.
anything else?
That's the
I
problem.
do think if
that's
he
the
gets
thing.
his, sort of performance review and he sits there and they say, we'd like you to do a bit more, and he said, then scoring 25 goals.
Halfway through.
20 games.
You know,
listen, I think it's churlish. I agree. I think I love watching him play. I'm breathing a sigh of relief because I didn't take him out of my fantasy team. But I think as far as he is concerned, I actually think he's been at Manchester City for half a season.
Yeah.
He's going to be invincible, and even more so he gets...
I think it's unfair on him, actually. I don't think he's the problem. I think defensively they're having issues. They're conceding far more goals. So if the goals were down across the whole team, which they're not, they're still the highest scoring team, you could argue that, they're not as effective and not scoring as many goals, but they're still the highest scoring team. Defensively is where they're having issues in terms of goals conceded. So it's not at the top of the pitch. I think it's more at the back of the pitch, maybe you could talk about.
And we'll be able to get them, or have some kind of idea about a matchup against Arsenal when they play each other in the Cup on Friday, as you said earlier. I'm really interested in how both teams approach this, because obviously their main ambition for Arsenal is going to be the Premier League. For Manchester City, yes, they'll want to go for the Premier League. They've still got their eye on the Champions League as well. But it's also a chance to kind of try and suss each other out a little bit while not wanting to give too much away, particularly, like you say, Arsenal, maybe you know what they're going to do, but particularly for Guardiola, he could do something unusual.
You know he does
in this game.
He can tinker around with it, can't he?
And there'll be but you would imagine there's a thought process. I don't want to give Arsenal too much information about what we're going to do against them in the league games. And I don't know. I just think it's intriguing.
It is intriguing, simply because I feel whoever wins that game, the cup game especially, because we're going to probably see changes. It still feeds into the fact that we've beaten you, or it feeds into something else, because this is far more than just, it's an FA Cup game, so we can forget it because this is what's happening in the Premier League. It's all interlinked in what they're doing, and I'm sure Pep and Mikel, they're fighting now with their brain. What am I going to do with this game? Because I want to win this game, but I don't want to show them too much. It doesn't make no difference with these two. These two are just going to try and go and win this game, and I don't think you can read too much into it, because when the other games come, they're going to be exactly the same. Because, like I say, with Arsenal, they're playing well enough to go and stand toe-to-toe with City, but at the same time, they know what can happen. I want to see how brave they are when that does come along, because we haven't played them yet to see. And that is where, like I say, you want to be measured. You want to be measured against them, so they could look at you and say, wow, this Arsenal team are serious. I'm sure they're thinking that now anyway.
Yeah, no, listen, I agree. I think that they've beaten them in every competition last season that they met them. So they do need to maybe set down a marker, Arsenal. And for all that we've said, all the nice things we've said about Arsenal so far, Arsenal need to win something.
Yeah.
I think they are. Yes, they want to finish in the top four. I think they're almost certain to do that now. But they've got to win something, just to establish that culture, if you like, of winning. Just like Jose Mourinho did when he won the League Cup with Chelsea. So that he could just set them off and running. And I think if Arsenal do that, then they'll start. But if they can beat City on the way to doing that, that's their marker. Suddenly, no one is doubting, well, could they do this? Could they do that? Because everybody's looking at a side full of confidence. So it'll be interesting to see how they approach it. I think City's priority, as you were rightly saying, was the Premier League and the Champions League. But I still do think that there was a significance about Pep using the game against Spurs to make his point about the general malaise and the complacency within the playing contingent, within the fans as well, because it gives them enough time to maybe sort that out. We got a bit of a reaction yesterday, and hopefully he will be hoping that he can see that against Arsenal on Friday.
Yeah, and not too long to wait until they play each other in the Premier League either. So lots to look forward to for Manchester City and Arsenal, who are chasing trophies and titles.